And hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the SFL Podcast, presented to you by APM Music through the power of YouTube. I am your host, Jack Brown. Alongside me, we have two-thirds of the round table once again, Ryan Michaels and Ramos Lynn, as we head into Week 13. Oh, man, the regular season's already over. That's crazy to me.
I would say it's pretty crazy. It's been a wild season, and I expect the playoffs to be just as crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, last week we had Tallahassee go down to Dallas, of all
Yeah,
teams.
I don't know anybody that could have seen that coming.
And, of course, Las Vegas was blowing out Alaska in that first half, and then they choked.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way around it, really. I mean, I think they were up like 21-0 at one point.
Yeah, or like it was 31-3, I think, at some point during the either late second quarter or early third quarter.
Yeah, it was craziness. I don't know what exactly happened or how it happened, but it happened.
They choked. But, yeah, with that, Alaska actually, with that, won the Season 11 SFL regular season championship. So I'll give you a round of applause, if you will, or just be terrified at the might of the all glorious Mighty RX.
Oh gosh. I think he hasn't lost a game in like the last 21 games or 22 games, something like that, including playoffs.
Yeah, his last one was a loss to I think it was the loss against San Francisco actually.
Yeah, it was against San Francisco. I just can't remember what week it was last season.
I think it was the week after the mid-season classic, which
So
was week 7 or 8.
yeah, say so
So that
probably it's been about 22 weeks ish so far.
and if we include the off season, it's too long. But anyways, so this week, the way that the week this week is structured is different. So there's not going to be any Friday, Saturday, whatever. The entire week is just Sunday and Monday. Sunday is for all the games that have legitimate playoff implications in them, or at least one team that is still vying for a playoff spot, which there are 11 of. And then then Monday is exclusively games of teams out of playoff contention, which, if you know how to do your basic mathematics, 21 minus 11 equals 10. Math with Jack. I do terribly in algebra.
Close enough.
Supposedly. But now with that, the first game got up on the docket, a Southern Conference clash between the New Orleans Pharaohs and the Dallas Lobos, who beat Tallahassee.
The
Sure.
Tallahassee Slayers. I believe I saw them a few times today being called Tallahassee.
Wow.
I'm just imagining now this week they somehow blow them out, but that's the question. What's going to happen this week? Will New Orleans just secure that wild card spot, or will Dallas somehow play spoiler once more?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to say anything against Dallas now. I mean, they've only gotten 2 wins in the season, but I mean, one win was against an undefeated team, so it's anybody's guess, honestly. New Orleans is fighting themselves for that one of those last few playoff spots, and I think Aaron Arrington's going to get his team a little bounce back after they lost to Houston last week, and I don't know. We'll kind of have to see how this one plays out. I give the edge to New Orleans, but I can't put anything past Dallas anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially after last week against Tallahassee. I remember I was watching the Alaska game and I saw that final score, and I can't remember what I typed in chat. I was like, wait, are we not going to acknowledge what just happened here at all?
Yeah,
Ugh.
I feel like I didn't get a chance to watch the game live, but I watched the replay. But when I logged onto Discord real quick, we were out and about in the car, and I logged onto Discord real quick, and I was like, no, there's no way. They got to be kidding me. They have to be trolling in the Discord right now. And I went back and looked it up, and I was like, they're not kidding. Oh my goodness.
Well, probably more colorful language was used than "oh my goodness," but.
Yeah, family friendly server and everything. Come on now.
This is a Christian Minecraft server. Come on, guys. But anyways, now we're gonna head up to the Sin City. If we're gonna talk about Christianity. I have the best transitions. I have the best transitions. It's great transition. Uh, as the Mexico City Aztecs just try to make any sort of real dent in the seeding, they're currently the 6th seed in the playoffs. Trying to, I think the best they can get now is the 3rd, which that would be kind of difficult to say the least.
Yeah, I
But they
mean,
can't get it.
I
What?
believe I saw Andrew say earlier was they can get anywhere between the 3rd seed and the 8th seed.
Yeah, and 3rd seed would require some craziness to happen, but we'll get to that craziness a bit further down the line. But they're taking on Las Vegas. In Las Vegas. Las Vegas, as we all know, choked against Alaska. They probably have some hot blood in them right now. Some would say they have fury, as they're currently the 11th place team in the SFL. Yes, I'm great.
I want to boo you, but that. I'll give it to you. That was all right.
But Ryan, we swing this one back over to you again because Ramos, you kind of owned the Aztecs. Looking into this, Mexico City wanted to get some more seeding. However, Las Vegas is fighting for their playoff lives. Do you think that the Fury is going to be able to spin the odds in their favor at home? Or will the Aztecs, I don't know, something gambling related that's sad? I guess gambling itself is sad. Don't get into gambling, kids.
Don't lose your house mortgage on gambling in Vegas, gentlemen. Let's not do that here. No,
Or any city.
well, that's true. Any city, really. So, um, I feel like I got to give the edge to Mexico City. Their defense. I keep talking about their defense. It's always been their high point in their team. The offense has been a little lackluster, but it's when it's needed to, it's come through in the clutch. And Vegas, I mean, they dominated that early game against Alaska. The undefeated Alaska Storm, where they were on the brink basically, and I I I feel like Mighty might have sold his soul to the devil to come back to win that game, but I don't know. He could be the devil. Who knows, actually? But don't hurt me, Mighty, please. But no, so I'd have to give the edge to Mexico City still, though. Although Las Vegas put up a really good fight in both games against Alaska this season, but outside of those games, they've kind of been hit or miss. And Mexico City, although they've been hit or miss on the offense, the defense has consistently been a really, really standout point for them. And I think it's going to hold them through this week. And who knows, maybe the craziness happens and they pop up to that 3rd seed.
Yeah. But yeah, Mexico City's defense anchored now by the number 2 tackler in the SFL, Slin Shady. I'm very mad at you. This is actually let's hold the podcast. This is an open letter to Slin Shady. Stop tackling people this week. Do not get any tackles. As a matter of fact, get injured on the opening kickoff somehow. Okay? Thanks.
Wow there.
I'm a very spiteful man. Anyways, hey Ryan, guess what? You're hosting Tallahassee this week. I hope you're aware of this. If you weren't, how?
Wait,
How
what do you
exactly?
what do you mean we're playing a game this week? I thought we were done.
No, you're not one of the teams that wrapped up play this week. Man, but Tallahassee, after losing a shocker to Dallas, essentially that's this league's Michigan Appalachian State. They now get another shot in Texas, this time heading down to Houston. Ramos, do you think Tallahassee is going to rack up a win in Texas, or will Houston cause them to go 0-2 in the Lone Star State?
Man, it's difficult. I think that Tallahassee will be pissed and they will bounce back. As much as I like the Hyenas, I think that you should just be upset and just put everything on the table to finish the regular season close, to close this regular season in a high note. So I think it's gonna be a fact of Tallahassee running the ball with Yaya and Yola as much as they possibly can, and I think they will try to get Ken Gossett involved in short passes. Therefore, I have to give the edge to Tallahassee. They still have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. They still have a really good defense. They still have a really great pass rush. And I think that against a rookie quarterback like Kentes Johnson, even though he's really good, I think that the pressure that Kevin Payne can put on him could really spell problems for the Houston Hyenas. So I will go with the Tallahassee Pride to win this game and finish the regular season with a W.
Going around with them big fat dubs. Dub season around here. And Rob's going to keep it up with you for this next game. This is in part where some crazy is going to have to happen for Mexico City in order for them to lunge up to the third seed. As the Carolina Skyhawks, after starting off the season 6-0, have gone 1-4. They travel up to the Vultures of Baltimore, as Baltimore just looks to hold on to the seeding they got. If they stay where they are, they actually get to host Mexico City in the playoffs. However, if they lose, they could slip some seeds. That sounds really weird now that I say it. But Ramos, do you think that? Actually, I forgot to mention also Carolina. They still haven't clinched a playoff spot and are fourth place in the East. That is how crazy it's been out east so far, where Carolina's just slumped down. I think they could actually still win the conference with this sort of situation. But now back to as I was saying, Ramos, do you think that Baltimore is going to be able to hold on to the seeding that they have, or will Carolina pull off what probably would be considered an upset and hopefully get a top 2 spot in the East?
I got to say, I really like the Vultures in this game. I really like Carolina, what they've done this season. But this right now, today, I really think that Baltimore is, other than Alaska, the hottest team coming into the playoffs. And they are the dark horse team to go to the championship game, I think. Not a lot of people's talking about Baltimore because they started the season just super slow. But now they really look really strong on all sides of the football, and really doesn't look that they have much of a weakness. They have 2 very good linebackers. They have the Rob is not here, so I'm gonna pull a Rob Roby here. They have the
Kaz McFly.
The Kaz McFly, the No McFly zone. They have that guy. They have a good kicker, so the special teams are on point. Daily Holder is returning kicks, so really, when you look offense, defense, special teams, they really do not have that much of a weakness. Amon takes and Joe Dasso take care of the run game. Giovanni Bald leads the league in interceptions. So it really looks like Baltimore is one of the strongest teams coming into the playoffs, and I think they will win a game here and just claim that spot out of the Carolina Skyhawks.
I was told by Rob to make sure to relay this message that he says, send him a text saying, "Fly, young man, fly," to Kaz McFly from Mix.
Couldn't you just PM it to him on Discord or something? We already know that they've.
No. He wants it on the podcast. He's got to have his name in there with him, right? Come on now.
True. That is to be mentioned. Actually, just to meet the quota, Kaz McFly. Have we met the quota?
Yeah, I think so. I think we hit it here. I think we're good.
Okay, supposedly. I'll say it a couple more times at the end if need be. But now we head out west to see as the Sioux Falls Sparrows play host to the Vancouver Legion. Vancouver, they outie. However, Sioux Falls, they're clinging on to a third-place spot in the West. The only real thing that's been hankering them down is the fact that they haven't been good against Mexico City. Yeah, that's pretty much how it's been for this entire season, going 0-2 to the Aztecs. But of course, if they win and the Aztecs lose to the Fury, they will leapfrog them and take over that second spot in the West. So, Ryan, do you think that's going to be possible for the Sioux Falls Sparrows, or will the Legion send their season out with one last victory?
Honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Sioux Falls. Vancouver, they were on the verge of making the playoffs in the last few weeks. They had to have some things go their way, and unfortunately, they just didn't quite go their way. Sioux Falls, though, they've been a hot team for a majority of the season. The really only knock against them, like you said, were the 2 games against Mexico City. Outside of those 2 games, they are 7 wins and only 2 losses. So they've got 4. A good season. Well, outside of those 2 losses against Mexico City is what I was saying.
And that 1 loss to Alaska.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They were only 7-2 outside of Mexico City. So,
I guess.
well, basically, what it comes down to is they've held their own against one of the tougher divisions at the moment. Um, they they definitely had their work cut out for them against Mexico City. It seemed to be their kryptonite. Combined, I believe it was a total of 3 points through the two games against Mexico City. So it kind of tends you to believe that they have some issues and somehow Mexico City's found them out. But outside of those games, they've been winning games uh, majority of the time. So I'm not sure what it is that you figured out, Ramos, but you figured out something for them. And I don't know, maybe they look back on those games and they're able to kind of figure out what it was and fix it on their own end. So I got to go Sioux Falls over Vancouver.
All right, I'm feeling you right there. Now we head out east once again for technically the only game on Twitch this week. So we're actually, by technicality, the only real primetime game this week, apart from the Monday night games. But the way that the whole week is set up, those Monday night games have no impact on the playoffs whatsoever. Queen City heads over to Chicago, and what's actually the way that the East is set up this week, a whole lot could change. Queen City is currently occupying the second spot in the Eastern Conference, with the fourth seed overall in the playoffs with an 8-3 record. The Chicago Wildcats are third in the East, chilling with a 7-4 record and at the number 8 seed. If they win, then obviously Queen City loses. They could actually take one of those top two spots, which who thought Chicago was going to have a chance to take one of the top two spots in the East at the end of the season?
Honestly, I was gonna bring that up. Like they've really come on strong over the last couple of weeks. I mean, the beginning of the season they looked like they were just lost, but Shan Varner up there in Chicago, he's figured something out and he's really turned on the Jets, trying to get back to those playoffs.
Yeah, I mean he's done it well. You know, as I said, Chicago could actually take one of the top two spots in the East. Which, I mean, who would have thought that was going to happen this year? Granted, who thought the Carolinas was going to start 6-0? Absolutely nobody.
And yeah,
And now they're done.
Carolina started to pull, gosh, who was it? Tulsa last season, where they started off really hot and kind of trailed off at the end. Hopefully, they can turn it around as the playoffs start.
No, they're just done Carolina-ing.
Well, you're not wrong there, I suppose.
No, I'm not. But anyways, getting into the actual game analysis, which supposedly I'm here is why we're here. So I'm gonna go around to each of y'all here. So Ryan, I'm gonna start off with you. Queen City heading over to Chicago. Do you think Chicago's gonna pull off the win at home and hopefully take a top two spot in the East, or will Queen City hold on and start off the playoffs for a second consecutive year in the quarterfinals?
Oh gosh, honestly, I'm gonna give the edge to Queen City this week. And I think it's gonna come down to how the running game for Queen City goes. How well are they gonna get Ash Odom involved? Chicago's defense has been allowing 110 yards on the ground, so they're a little susceptible to the run. So it'll come down to that, in my opinion. I think that is exactly what the difference will be, is who will be able to get the running game going, or who will be able to stop the running game for Chicago. And if they're not able to, I get the feeling it's going to be a pretty long game. Well, I guess I can't really say long game. It'd be pretty quick game, because the clock's not going to stop running, because they won't throw very much, so the clock's going to be constantly running. But they're going to be tired as heck at the end of that game. It's going to be a difficult one for them for sure. So I got to give the edge to Queen City, just strictly based off the running game. I mean, you can't slouch on the passing game either with AJ Caswell back there. You definitely got Chicago with ET King. So in all honesty, it could very likely come down to an aerial assault shootout. But in my mind, I'm seeing it coming down to the running game and who can establish that and dominate it early and often.
And who's been better at that over the season? Queen City. So now, Ronald's going to swing this one out to you. Do you think Queen City's going to? Or do you agree with Ryan that Queen City's going to win this, or will Chicago win and then hopefully get a nice little spot up in the quarterfinals and everything plays out nicely as to where we can somehow play them in the quarterfinals?
This is a really good game, but I will agree with Ryan. Queen City Corsairs will be able to take this one in a close one. I will go maybe by a score of I don't know, 23-21. I think it's going to be really close. I will pick Chicago in another seasons, but now Queen City has that defensive backfield that they need to go against the Chicago Wildcats, who are more of a passing attack. So I think that Queen City will be able to get a couple picks on the Chicago offense, and I think that they will be able to control the ball somewhat running the football, especially late in the third quarter and early in the fourth. So I think that Queen City will be able to go into probably a double-digit lead in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter. And I think that Chicago will try to do a comeback, and they will just run out of time, something like that. So I will go with the Queen City Corsairs by a small margin. I don't know. I just like the experience. I just like how Queen City seems always to close out the season in a strong manner. It doesn't look flashy the whole season, but by the end of the year they just finish strong, and I think that's what's going to happen come this game.
I'm feeling you there. Feeling you. And, well, now we've officially gone past all the games that actually matter this week. And now we have Monday night, 3 games that only really matter if you're a team involved in the game. First off, Indianapolis takes a trip across the pond to London. Some would say that Indianapolis' season this year, it's been hell. Not exactly the best way to go out, and at best they can go 3-9, or they could just, go 2-10, either way. London staring down the face of another just kind of bad season. They had some sparks of life, especially towards the middle, but they were never quite able to put it together, and they had that one really long losing streak from I think around week 2 to 7-ish, I would like to say.
That sounds about right, I believe.
Yeah, and just overall, it's not been the best. So guys, I'm gonna open the mic up to both of you because these are games I think it's really more just season reflection for these teams. What went wrong for Indianapolis and London this year, and out of this game in particular, who's going to come out with that nice little morale boosting W?
I'll go ahead and go first here, almost.
Yep.
Honestly, it is kind of a reflection time at the moment. It's kind of look back. I mean, it's going to be a time period where it's going to be looking back, seeing what might have gone wrong, what went right, and try to build off of it. London, they had that one losing streak in the middle, and it really affected how the swing of their season. And unfortunately, it just stuck around a little bit too long for them. I think part of their issue was their offensive build. In all honesty, they were the worst rushing offense. Well, actually, now they're the second worst rushing offense. Going into this week, they're ahead of Dallas by zero point 0.8 yards a game. And I think part of it was just their offense. They were built without a star running back, and they were trying to do a lot of the more stuff through the air on the arm of a Nathan Lee over there, and it just didn't seem to work out. Whether it was the way their players were built, the way they did their progression, the way the playbook just basically kind of fell together for them. It just something seemed a little off. And I think that they're going to need to get their star running back this next season and see kind of how it goes for them. But on the flip side for Indy, it's another thing with the offense, in my opinion. Their defense, especially their passing defense, has been one of the best passing defenses, I'd almost venture to say, in league history, with only 167 yards passing a game allowed. And that's 40 yards better than the next lowest team, and that's Vancouver at 208. And so they've gotten the turnovers too. They're +5 in the turnover differential, so they've taken care of the ball on offense. But the problem kind of is that they just don't have much of an offense to kind of deal with to just supplement that defense. They allow 167 yards a game. They themselves only pass for 192 yards a game. And they only convert 36% of their third downs. So it's really rough to be able to win games when you're not really extending drives any further than 3 and outs. And it really kind of starts to take a toll on you, especially when your rushing defense is not quite as up to par as your passing defenses, and so teams can kind of just wear the clock down and give you more limited possessions. So, um, in my opinion, London's going to have to go back to get a star running back in this off season. Indy, they got to figure out a way to be able to get a more reliable third down conversion percentage, possibly just make one of their receivers there, maybe even a tight end, like almost an exclusive third down possession kind of guy, a guy that can reliably get those third down conversions for you and can extend those drives out and kind of result in more points for you.
Yeah. So, Ramos, how are you looking at these two teams in particular heading into the offseason? And really not even really looking at the game. It's more just looking at what could be in store for them this offseason.
I think that with Indianapolis, it's been more of a case where sometimes your sophomore season is not as you expect it to be. People got tape on you, and you just want to maybe try some things out, and it doesn't work. It happened to us. It happened to Tallahassee. It has happened to many teams where the sophomore season is just a slump. And I think that Indianapolis will be able to bounce back next year. As far as London, I will echo what Ryan said. I think they need to find the balance. If you look at it, teams that, because when you look at it last year, you think about the passing team, but they do have the run game. Even last season, they did have the run game with Stanley Nardellas. They were able to put him in the situations where he can be really successful. I mean, Nardellas last season had like 15 touchdowns as a non-contractor player. So it's not the fact that they didn't involve him; it's just the fact that he was a non-star player. And when you look at the London Knights, they until mid-season they did not involve any other backfield. It was just like that, and I think they need the balance, and it's something that happened to Dallas, I think, this season as well. So I think that as far as London goes, they just need to find the balance. I think that as far as Indianapolis goes, they just bounce back next season. I mean, any team can have a bad year. And looking at this game, though, I still go with the Red Devils to pull this one out because of the passing defense that they have. I mean, this is I think the perfect matchup for Indianapolis. They don't have to worry about the run game. They just need to go out there and worry about the pass that London loves to do. And I think that Indianapolis will be able to get a few interceptions and just take care of business. I will go maybe Indy by the score of, I will say, 27-10, 27-13. I think that both teams will be better next season if they are able to just fix a few things.
Yeah, and so now we head on down south for Atlanta to take on Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, after making the playoffs last time for the first time in 4 actual years, not like years as we say in seasons, actual years they last made the playoffs. Hosting Atlanta for the second year in a row has been burned by just the whole playoff race. Last year they were eligible, I think, until week 12, and this season too they were eligible up until last week, although they just got burned. Definitely two teams that had playoff aspirations up until at least midway through the season for OKC. Ryan, I'm going to start off this one with you. What do you think these two teams are going to look at going into the offseason, and what sort of tweaks do you think could be made?
For Atlanta, they had a good going of it. They had a nice chance at making the playoffs. And honestly, I believe if New Orleans would have beat Houston this last week, they'd actually still be in the running. Specifically because of New Orleans and Houston split their series in 1-1. Um, and the fact that Houston is now up there at 7-4, it gave New Orleans the strength of victory tiebreaker over Atlanta if they were to tie, and so that's what I think effectively eliminated them for the playoffs. Even if they win this week and New Orleans loses, after Atlanta had been swept by Houston, for that reasoning basically. I think they found themselves a really good quarterback in Marcus Dunhill. He had a rookie season that had its ups and downs. I mean, he went toe to toe with Tallahassee all the way until the final drive of the game, basically, when he ended up throwing a pick six that actually gave Tallahassee the momentum to come back and win the game against them. Um, I mean, they've also had that running back in BDG Hollywood back there. Um, he's been averaging about 100 yards a game. So I mean, he's still getting his pay dirt. He's still getting his cheddar, as a lot of people would call it. Um, for OKC though, they started off the season hot. I don't know what exactly happened with them. Deacon Nickens was one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league. I don't think he threw an interception for the first 2-3 weeks almost, and then everything just kind of started falling apart. I'm not sure what happened through it. I mean, it was kind of a little weird little thing to me. They were converting 43% of their third downs, so they were able to extend a few drives here and there. Um, but as on average for the league, they all actually not they all the league average is around 49%, so they're not too far off. Um, for them, I know they have their big tight end target, Tiberius Bovine. I hope he comes back again another season. I haven't heard anything about him retiring, so I'm assuming he's coming back. I feel like they got to get their running game a little more on track. They only got 79 yards a game, which is below average for rushing yards in the game. But their passing has been a little decent. Maybe get a little bit more of a third down receiver, like I said, for Indy to kind of continue those drives out and get some more points for them. For their offense, on the defense, um, their defense kind of started surrendering some big points towards the end of the season, and it's bumped their average up way up there, to giving up almost 31 points a game. And as far as the defense goes, it's got to come down to that passing defense. They allowed 320 yards passing a game, which is actually the worst in the SFL. So I feel if they're not gonna if they feel their offense is all right, I feel they gotta focus on that secondary and be able to shut down opposing pass attacks. And next season, they could find themselves in the playoffs for the first time in quite a while, like you said. So I mean, it's been a while for them, and early going into this season, it looked like it was gonna happen. They were on fire, and then just the season almost pretty much imploded on them. So here's the hoping for next season for them. I'm thinking their secondary is the one that's the big focus they got to work on, is start limiting passing attacks and getting themselves off the field on third down.
Yeah, but as I actually said, Ryan, they made the playoffs last season, and they got trounced by Mexico City. It
Sorry,
was a
that's
lot of
right.
fun.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It was a lot of fun that night. Then we
Yeah.
lost to Alaska.
Well, yeah, that wasn't as much fun.
Yeah, no. Anyways, Ron, I was going to spin this one out to you. Would you kind of agree with Ryan here that that's kind of like what these two teams need to focus on, or is there anything else that you have to take note on?
No, I agree. I mean, in the Oklahoma City, on an Oklahoma City standpoint, they were really good historically against the pass. It's a team that struggled with passing offense. It's a team that's used to struggle with special teams. It's a team that's used to struggle a little bit with rushing off defense. Sorry, but what was always strong. It was the passing defense of this Oklahoma City Renegade team. And I think that they will just be able to have to clean some things up, probably get another defensive back on it, trying to go in a kind of Indianapolis or Mexico City kind of direction as a fact of, we need to stop this passing offenses. I mean, yes, we have the AJ Francis of the world and we have those players, but the SFL is still a league where, it seems that if you cannot stop the pass, you're gonna get gashed and you're gonna allow 35 points a game. So I will go with Ryan in regards to that for the Oklahoma City Renegades, which again for Oklahoma City is disappointing. It's kind of sad because it's a team that has been here since day one, literally since day one, and they have had so many historical players, and I would love to see the Oklahoma City Renegades of last season that got to the playoffs each and every single year. So yeah, I think that for Oklahoma City is just like that.
Yeah. And now, finally, before we go, folks, we have my two favorite teams in the whole SFL, Denver and San Francisco. The battle of uniforms that you swear look exactly the same. San Francisco exiting their second season as a franchise, essentially the same as they went out with the first. Denver seeming to really carry that San Antonio stink on them throughout the course of the whole season. Ryan, what's kind of your take on what these two teams really need to focus on going into the offseason?
Well, for San Francisco, it's the last season they were in the playoff hunt until the last like 2 weeks, I believe, 2 3 weeks of the season. They had an outside chance then. This season, not really, not so much the same. Their defense was the second worst scoring defense at almost 33 points a game. Their rushing defense allowed 150 yards a game, which was the worst, tied for worst currently with St. Louis. St. Louis's season is done. They're both tied at 149.5. So with San Francisco being able to play this game, they could either go lower, or go higher. Who knows, honestly. Um, but for them, it's a disappointing season, especially after last season being right there and close to getting into those playoffs. Um, for for them, jeez, I actually don't know. They started off the season signing Ahmed Chima from Houston. He was cut after 2 weeks. I'm assuming because he had just signed and then disappeared. They brought in our guy Rob Roby, and he provided a spark those first 2 weeks, and then since then they've kind of fallen flat once more. It's not so much that the offense has been failing them. They've been averaging 23 points a game, averaging about 350 yards total for the games on yardage. So it's not so much that the offense is failing them. They're taking care of the ball pretty decently, and I think part of it comes down to the defense of just not being able to stop the run, and then also looks like they're not able to take the ball away. They were a -7 for their turnover differential, which was fourth worst in the league. And in this league, if you can't take care of the ball entirely, or if you can't take the ball away, you're gonna have a hard time because your offense has got to be able to be on the field to put up points. Usually, your defense can do that for you, but you can't reasonably rely on that every single week. And so, for them, it's got to be something that's got to start, I think, with shoring up their run defense. Possibly get a second linebacker on their defense, help with some more run stopping. Um, the offense seemed pretty decent to me, so I don't see any reason to change that up too much. For Denver, it's kind of the opposite in my opinion. Denver's defense has been pretty solid for most of the season. Um, they sit about right in the middle of the pack at about allowing 22 points a game. Um, their passing defense is actually one of the better as well in the league, with fourth best passing defense at 225 and .2 yards a game. It comes down to their defense again on the rushing team as well, or the rush defense as well, with 122.5 they allow, and they allow exactly 50% third down conversions against them, and they're exactly even as well on turnover differential. So for them, it comes down to that offense. They're scoring 20 points a game. They're only putting up 234 passing, 85 yards rushing is not terrible. Their third down percentage is one of the worst in the league at 42%. It's it's a lot. I can't fault them too much, though, because they did have a few games that came down to some bad luck. He's probably gonna hate me for bringing it up, but Jeremy, he had a bad game, two bad games. One against Las Vegas, where the play calling at the very end of the game uh, actually ended up causing them a safety and basically lost the game for them just because they had to punt the ball away after that. And then one game against San Francisco where the onside kick I don't even know what happened. One guy was literally kneeling in front of the ball, looking like he's worshiping it instead of picking it up and securing it for his team. And I don't. Besides those two games, I mean, you to put those in the win column for them, and they're actually 5-6 right now, and they probably could be looking at an outside chance for a wild card game. But it is what it is. I mean, that's just the way the ball bounces sometimes, and you got to pick yourself up and just keep going. For them on their offense, I could say maybe focus on the passing offense a little bit more. Possibly, oh geez, probably maybe get a tight end, another tight end in there, maybe another receiver. Work on some third down specialty plays maybe, and keep your offense on the field. Like it's that's one thing you got to be able to do in any type of football is keep your offense on the field instead of having to punt it away after every third down.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think Denver's actually. I was just reading the player openings tab, and B.J. Armstrong actually said that they're looking for a tight end for season 12.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that looking for that, and I feel that Jeremy we might be on the same brainwave basically. Like he wants a tight end, he wants a wide receiver, and so I mean, it's very possible that he's seeing that third down conversion percentage, and he knows he needs that reliable slot receiver, or he needs that reliable tight end to be able to get himself into the extending drives and everything. And then I'm not so sure about the free safety and wide receiver, or not the free safety and the cornerback. His pass defense was pretty solid for this season, so I'd almost want to move possibly one of the cornerbacks over to a linebacker position instead of another cornerback. But I mean, he might know something I don't. Who knows? He's
Yeah.
possible why he owns the team, not me.
Well, I mean, mind you, that could also just be due to like player inactivity or something like that. It's oftentimes no. Here's the thing about the quarterback thing though. One of them is I don't know, their general manager. So strange things that we see in this world. But Ramos, before we go, do you have anything really more to say to add on to San Francisco and Denver's kind of off-season prep?
Well, yeah, I think that San Francisco will be really good this upcoming season. I think they will be really good. I think that with the quarterback, Roby, I think it started out strong because nobody had tape on him, and then as Ryan said, it kind of fell. But I think that in a sophomore season with more player progression, with more game planning to Roby, I think it will be really good. As far as Denver goes, they need to find a run game. Jarek McChesney did not have the season that they were expecting. They do need to have or find a little more pass rush as well. I still like their secondary a lot. I think their rushing game is kind of suspect. I think I'm not saying they have to replace Jarek McChesney or anything like that. I think he's a really good back and has really good talent. But I think maybe they have to find the correct playbook for him. Maybe try to put him in another type of plays or another type of formations, stuff like that. Because overall, I think that San Francisco still has a really good core of talent. I mean, Gabriel Manning is amazing. They have a good kicker as well. So I think San Francisco will be really, really. Denver goes, just finding themselves. I mean, this was their rookie season. Some mistakes happen, but I think they can learn and build off of it. Jeremy Vegas is a really smart head coach, and an owner. So I think if they load with a couple more pieces, they will be really good, both teams next season, and the West will be a force.
Yeah, and then maybe Jeremy will get a ring on his finger to impress that girl in the office below him that he really likes. You got enough on a positive note, despite the fact that I've been talking my sad voice for the past 20 minutes. Because these teams suck.
Well,
but you
all
what?
right. So we can direct all hate mail over to Jack Brown of the Mexico City Aztecs.
PM me at the Eruption. What's my number? 6452, something like that. I can't remember at this point. Oh man, but since if you're gonna be PMing me, you may as well PMing me about SFL Madness, because yes, I'm bringing that back for a third time's the charm sort of thing. Last season, Brian Davidson won it. Good for him. He didn't suck at picking brackets. Granted, it was very predictable playoffs last season. But yeah, so with that, thanks for tuning into this edition of the SFL Podcast, presented to you exclusively by APM Music via the power of YouTube. I'm Jack Brown, and along with 2/3 of the round table, We say so long and have a great weekend full of SFL football and have a great wild card Wednesday because I forgot that was happening as well.